Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to TSP TV and thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Are you ready for the zombie apocalypse? Yep, that's right, the zombie apocalypse. If 2020 couldn't get weird enough, would you go and believe it? But people are rising from the dead and coming back to life after being proclaimed by experts that they were in fact dead. But as I said, this is a very, very strange occurrence that seems to be happening, not just localized in North America, but around the world. And there have been several reports in the last few weeks of people, in fact, coming back to life after they have indeed been pronounced for dead. So is this the beginning of the dawn of the dead? Is this the spark that will lead to the zombie apocalypse? Who can say, who can tell? 2020, as we said, is just beyond strange in the sort of realms of a choose your own own adventure kind of fanboy sci-fi wet dream kind of thing going on. I mean, as I said, you don't know what to expect. We're going to get invaded by aliens, or we're going to get hit by asteroids, or are going to be swarms of deadly murder hornets. Is the invisible virus COVID-19 gonna kill us, even though it does have a 99.99% survival rate, and you'll be very, very, very unfortunate to die of it. But as I said, guys, 2020 just will not quit with the shit hitting the fan and strange occurrences. And one of these latest strange occurrences does seem to be people coming back to life after being announced dead. Now, some of you who do follow along may be aware that I am a little bit of a geek, a little bit of a kind of comic book, sci-fi, Star Warsy type. I like things like Planet of the Apes, Back to the Future, as well as the zombie genre. In fact, I liked zombies as a young kid before they were cool, before Walking Dead saturated our screens on Sunday nights, courtesy of AMC, and was milked and rinsed to death until it was very poor reflection of what the original source was. But comic books in movies about zombies were something that was very, very, very popular at the turn of the millennium, but they were something that I kind of grew up as a kid on VHS from back in the 80s, and George A. Romero and Felici, I can't remember how to say his name, but those guys, they were sort of, for me, the Mac Daddies of the zombie genre. In fact, George A. Romero's Zombies, Dawn of the Dead was in fact the first ever movie I watched on VHS video recorder as a 10-year-old. Disturbed the life out of me. I had nightmares in dreams and wouldn't sleep without the lights on for weeks and weeks and weeks after watching that movie. But somehow this kind of did spark a little bit of a thirst for the genre and an interest in it, and I was very, very into zombie movies growing up, and in particular Dawn of the Dead. Something I liked about it, not just the zombies, was the fact that these couple of, former SWAT team guys stole a helicopter, found a shopping mall, and kind of set up shop there. They had their own kind of sort of doomsday apocalypse compound with everything you could possibly need or want to survive for a prolonged period of time until the Hell's Angels turned up, and then eventually the zombies turned up and run them out of their shopping mall seclusion. But anyway, we won't go too much into it. As I said, we could do an entire episode on zombie apocalypse and fiction decoded, and probably will do. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to see that. It's probably something I will make regardless, and probably one of those videos that hardly any of you will watch or comment on. Something I will mention and point out before we do go any further, I'm using a microphone. Nancy, if you can't hear this video, I don't know what to tell you. Get a new phone, get some new earbuds, something like that. Sort it out. It's beyond my capabilities. I'm trying to sort of get the best possible audio that we can. So I've got a little microphone tucked up there. Hopefully that will make some improvements. But as I said, I also believe that some of these sound and audio issues may or may not be a result of algorithmic behavior and shadow banning, passive censorship. Make a video so quiet that you can't hear it, you might be inclined not to watch if you feel what I'm saying. But anyway, with regards to today's episode and the content at hand, we're going to go and look at a few of these various articles from around the world about people that have risen from the dead, and we're not going to get too carried away in the realms of fantasy and fiction, zombie apocalypse us in movies, comics, and stuff like that. We will indeed probably save that for a fiction decoded episode on zombie apocalypses. But anyway, for now, let's dive over into the darky, murky waters of the internet and look at these articles in particular that drew my attention to this pattern of events that seems to be occurring globally. So we'll see you in the first one. Alright guys, so first up, here we go, August the 9th, 2020, and something also that's very interesting you might notice is a lot of these incidents happened within a day or two of each other. But anyway, a Kanpur man comes back from the dead 2 days after his family buried him. That would be just like the zombie movies, where the guy kind of bursts through the coffin and then scrapes his way through the soil and crawls up from his gravesite. But anyway, back to the article. In a strange incident, a man from Ganji area of Kanpur, Ganji. That sounds like some kind of rectal infection that you might need some kind of applicator and cream for, as well as maybe some telescopic exploratory surgery. But anyway, he's from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. Forgive me or excuse me if I did pronounce that wrong. But he come home 2 days after he was assumed dead by his family and later buried. And there's a picture of him back from the dead. I'm guessing he's wearing his mask. Look, survived death, but you're not going to survive COVID unless you wear a mask, guys. Imagine somebody coming back from the dead. In an absolutely strange incident, a man from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, come home 2 days after being declared dead and later buried by his family. This bizarre case occurred in the Ganji area of Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. They used Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, 2-3 times in this opening statement. But anyway, back from the grave. And again, look, they're telling him where he's from and where he lives. On August the 2nd, a man named Ahmed Hassan from Ganji, an area of Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, as though we don't know that already, went missing after arguing with his wife. And it's usually always an argument with a wife that makes men go missing or go out for a pack of smokes and never come back. But anyway, he went missing after he had an argument with his wife, Nagma. What a very appropriately named name. Nagma was probably nagging the poor guy to death, and out he went and died, only to come back to life. But anyway, the family filed a missing complaint at the Shakari police station when he didn't return home for 2 days. He's probably out getting drunk with his buddies and pretending he was dead. We've all been there, guys. Let us know in the comments below if you faked your own death to get out of a date or avoid a wife's nagging complaints. But anyway, August the 5th, the police found a body and the family was called in for identification. They identified the body as Ahmed Hassan, a resident of Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh in the colonial. I'm just making that up. It doesn't say that at all. I just thought it'd be humorous. But anyway, they performed his last rites and laid him to rest. However, lo and behold, 2 days later, Ahmed Hassan returned home to his house in Ganji of the Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh region. He didn't say that at all. I'm still trying to be humorous. Let me know if that was funny or not. Probably you won't, although I'm almost certain Nancy will say it was funny, accompanied with some random emojis. But due to a verbal spat with my wife, I left home. On the way, a man helped me and I worked in a factory. Very bizarre. Hey, I'm on my way. I just had a wife from argument with my wife, just out for a walk. Why don't you come and help me in my factory? Makes perfect sense to me. But he came back home on Friday, and this is the guy, I guess, that died from Ganji in the Kanpur Pradesh area. After getting paid for my work. My house was locked when I reached home, but my neighbours recognised me. They called the police and brought me to the police station. On returning home, I found that I was declared dead. I came to know that a body identified by me as by my brothers was buried. I'm alive, said Ahmed Hassan. It's quite the revelations there. Tells us all about his little adventure. Very bizarre. But anyway, this is what he goes on to say. We had a small spat on a petty issue. He was angry. He left home in the evening. He didn't come home from 2 days. We lodged a missing complaint at the police station. The police found a body. They asked us to identify it. We could not recognize the body as the face was similar to my husband's. I was in doubt, but his brothers confirmed that it was him. I'm happy that my husband has come back to life. We are all had it happy, said Nagma, Ahmed's wife of Kolanganji in the Kumpar Uttar Pradesh region. While the family is happy, the Shakari police of Kumpar Uttar Pradesh have been left with lingering questions about the identity of the body whose last rites was performed by the family. And again, they go on to say the same pretty much about the body being identified. We're now putting posters in various places to identify the man. So this was like possibly a case of mistaken identity. But as I said, it was August the 9th that this article came out. And we are going to look at some other articles about people coming back from the dead also around the time of August the 9th. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so here's the second one, and get ready for a little surprise when I get rid of that ad there. So here is Up woman comes back to life after being declared dead by doctors. Her family members prepared for her funeral after she was declared dead by doctors. However, her body was being transported to her hometown in Mawana, and she exhibited signs of revival near Chazibad. And guess what? It happened in Uttar Pradesh again. How bizarre. So it wasn't an isolated incident. And let's go back here if we can find... I was trying to find the date. August 28th, 2020, so a few days afterwards. But anyway, in a bizarre incident that occurred yet again in Uttar Pradesh's Meerut, a young woman who was declared dead by doctors in Delhi came back to life while she was being taken home for her funeral. So what the hell is going on out there in this Uttar Pradesh? Who knows, maybe you might have to do a little bit of further researching and see if there are any like sort of chemical or pharmaceutical factories or anything out there that may be kind of putting something in the water that's bringing people back to death. But very bizarre that it happened in the same region. The woman was being treated in hospital in Delhi after she suffered a seizure. She was declared dead by doctors on Wednesday. Also read an 8-year-old Russian, and lo and behold, guys, we are going to be reading that story right after this one. Oh God, what's going on here? According to, why do they have to have the most bizarre names? Danik Jagran report, the woman is named Asma and is a resident of Mohalla Manali in Mawana town. The 20-year-old was admitted to a Delhi hospital on August 24 after falling ill. Her family members prepared for a funeral after she was declared dead by the doctors. However, when her body was being transported to her hometown in Mawana, she exhibited signs of revival near Ghaziabad. She was immediately rushed home and oxygen support was provided. And look, there's another one. A 95-year-old comes back to life during his last rites in Rajasthan. Family calls it a miracle. So what is going on with all these people coming back to life? Is it some chemical reaction? Is it some result of vaccines or mutation? Is it something they're spraying in the air? Is it something in our food? Is it something in drugs in general? I don't know, in the water system, but it does seem a little bit bizarre. And there are multiple accounts of this happening around, not just one, as you've seen here. There's also a couple. And here we go. These 11 people died and then come back to life. Here are the things they saw. But back to this lady Asma, commenting on the development, Mawana Community Health Centre in charge, Dr. Satish Bhaskar, said, such a thing is impossible. We haven't heard anything like this. However, sometimes the patient got into half-conscious state. There's a picture of a body on the morgue. Maybe we could have used that for a thumbnail. What would you do if something like happened to you? Let us know in the comments. So there was one. As I said, we could click on the 11 people died. Let's click on the 95-year-old man. It's right here, right now. We don't have to go into another article or another page. A 95-year-old comes back to life during his last rites in Rajasthan. His family calls it a miracle. So this 95-year-old dude woke up at his own funeral. It left his family in shock when the man in question was taken to the hospital. The doctor told his family that Budram was dead after he fainted at his house in Kareti Junham. Dear God, I'm not even going to try. Jumma in Rajasthan. After being declared dead, his last rites were to be performed, and the Gujar family called a priest at the home to do the deed. But as soon as the man's elder son, Bularam, bizarre names, started pouring water on the body for the customary bath before cremation, Buddharam's body started shivering, which stunned the family beyond words. And that might be a picture of Buddharam there and his family, stunned for words after he come back from life. The priest had started the rituals, and a barber had shaved the heads of the men in the family. We are about to bathe the body as customary practice before the funeral procession, the man's elder son, Bula Ram, said, as reported by Toll. I guess the shaving the heads might be some kind of ritual tradition in that part of the world where people... when people pass away, they shave their heads or something, a little bit like Job in the Bible, perhaps. I don't know. Although he didn't pass away, he was getting tortured by the devil because he made a bet with God. Not exactly the best book they should have included in the Bible. Could have probably left that one out. Didn't really do much to advertise or entice people if they read the book of Job. You know, this religion doesn't seem that great. Even if we do abide by all the rules, we can still be messed with by the devil. But anyway, after his body started shivering, the old man was immediately taken on the bed, and to everyone's surprise, he breathed back to life. The man then told his relatives that he had pain in the chest and he decided to sleep. He started breathing and sat on the bed soon after. When questioned by relatives, he said he suffered chest pains and slept. It's nothing but a miracle, Bularam added. The family also said that this is the happiest Diwali they are celebrating, and is Diwali a Hindu religion, perhaps? Celebrating because, or Sikh, I don't know, let me know. If the elderly man would be dead, they would have not celebrated the Festival of Lights this year. This is very happy for us. Had my father been dead, we wouldn't have celebrated the festival as in the norm in any house where death has occurred. But this time the celebrations are going to be grand. No shit. They do have a good festival for the old boy. Bless him, 95-year-old coming back to life with his bad chest. They go on to say they consider it a miracle. So let's go back again and look at the 81-year-old lady. Was she 81 or 85? I did have that lined up. Here we are. The 81-year-old grandmother. So let's get rid of the ad again. So an 81-year-old Russian grandmother comes back to life after a trip to the morgue. Similar story. All over again. After being pronounced dead, she was taken to the morgue around 1:10 a.m. But 7 hours later, at 8 a.m., a female employee of the morgue was horrified and got the shock of her life when she saw Miss Kononova's, yeah, that's a difficult one as well, on the law. At least she's not from the, I've forgotten the name, the Pranknish Kippar region. But coming back from the dead became literal when this grandmother from Russia turned out to be alive after she spent a night in the morgue. Miss Zinaida Konokova underwent surgery to remove intestinal obstruction at the Gorchenesky Central District Hospital on August 9th. They really are providing me some tongue twisters with these names in places. I'm doing my best, guys. Sorry if I am butchering these pronunciations. After being pronounced dead, she was taken to the morgue, and so we've already said that. They've repeated it again. And guess what? She was horrified and got the shock for her life when she saw Miss Kononova on the floor. The 81 had fallen off the morgue table and was trying to escape. That would have been funny. You'd think maybe the mother, well, I don't know, maybe in the shock of seeing a corpse crawling on the floor, you might not want to pull your phone out and start recorded. Also, this man was buried alive. So a lot of these stories, and there is a picture of the lady herself. An ambulance driver passing through the morgue heard the disturbance, and when he approached the morgue employee, he said, "Grandma, lie down. Granny, be quiet." Initially, the driver thought the staff member wasn't making any sense, but then he saw Miss Kononova grabbing the employee's hand and asking for help. She was covered in blankets and was rushed to intensive care. Maybe that's a picture of the intensive care unit she got rushed to. But Tatiana Kulakova, don't know why she sounds like she might be a stripper or a porn star, or maybe a Eastern European pop performer. But anyway, Tatiana Kulakova was contacted by the hospital, and a senior doctor told her, "We have an unusual situation. She is alive." As much as Miss Kulakova was happy to see her aunt alive, she questioned the doctors about how this was possible. The doctors told Mrs. Konakova was registered as clinically dead for 15 minutes, and she was literally pulled back from another world. Woman drags herself out of the grave after being beaten by neighbours. But anyway, for 30 minutes, the patient underwent resuscitation measures. As a result, the resuscitation doctor established a biological death. Asserted it. The anesthetist is very worried. She feels very bad, and we are afraid for her. Sorry, did we miss something? I think we did. After all this, doctor and anesthetist confirmed and confessed that they had sent her to the morgue. So she saw. She talked about a knee problem, but doesn't recognize that she had surgery. Alright, so I was trying to see if there was something we missed about these anaesthetists and doctors. So maybe that's a picture of the hospital that she went to. Reports add that Roman Candarantro, oh God, I'm going to give up on these names, the chief doctor of this place, Central District Hospital, has been suspended, and the relatives are now planning to sue the hospital. So was this some mistaken diagnosis? It says there, everyone makes mistakes. What will happen next in this career is still a question. So there you go. So there was 3 articles in one about people who have died and come back to life. And we are going to look at one more, because this one's a little bit closer to home. This one took place in Detroit. Okay, so we've got one last article. This one come out on September the 4th, 2020. But very similar title or headline. Woman comes back to life in funeral home after being pronounced dead by a paramedic. And there is the woman there, and I don't know if that's her brother, husband, or father. I don't know. We will find out. But a paramedic repeatedly failed to recognize that a young woman declared dead was alive and misled a doctor by phone about her condition, according to authorities. The incident in the US city of Detroit, closer to home, as I said, was bizarre because a funeral home discovered that Timasha, although it's closer to home, we've still got some strange names to deal with, Timasha Beecham was alive when she grasped while her body was being prepared on August 23. So again, August 23, August 28, August 8, all around a few weeks or days of each other, these occurrences happened. The latest details are in a state license suspension filed last week against Michael Storms, a Southfield firefighter and paramedic who was part of a 4-member team responding to the home of a 20-year-old woman. The documents are significant because no other agency has publicly offered details about what happened to Beecham, who has cerebral palsy. That's the chief of the fire department there, addressing questions about Tamisha Beecham. And I know that name Beecham because once upon a time at my beloved football club, Swindon Town FC, we signed a player called Joey Beecham from our arch rivals Oxford, who we hate with more of anything. And he was shit for us, and we ended up selling them back to him. So we hate him, but Beecham is a name I'm familiar with. But anyway, back to the story. The family called 911 because of what happened to be serious breathing problems. The Southfield fire chief said the incident still remains under investigation. Johnny Manafree said he shares the family's anguish, but he has also insisted that his paramedics followed proper procedures and found no sign of life. He said that Beecham might be alive because of Lazarus syndrome, a reference to people who come back to life without assistance after attempts of resuscitation have failed. But that doesn't resemble what state regulators allege, according to the license suspension from the House Department. Storms stopped resuscitation efforts 6 minutes before getting permissions from a doctor who was contacted by phone. At no point did Storms attempt to verify circulation or respiration with a device such as a stethoscope. The vital signs and the description depicted to the physician were inaccurate. Minutes later, Storms went back to the home when the family members said Beecham appeared to breathe in and had a pulse. He placed her on a monitor which clearly showed electrical activity and then revealed she was not deceased. Apparently no action was taken. Storms went inside again when relatives noticed signs of life. Both times, Storms failed to recognize the patient was still alive and indicated that the chest movement was normal due to her medication. The state said Storms changed his report when it was uploaded a second time to an incident database the next day. Beecham wasn't taken to a hospital until Cole Funeral Home in Detroit called 911 hours later. Funeral home staff actually saw her chest moving earlier when they picked up the body at the Southfield home. The state said, but Beecham's family said they were assured by the medical crew that she was dead. An Oakland County agency that oversees local emergency medical services had access to Storm's report and other information with the EMS and trauma, and they shared it with the Michigan Division of EMS and Trauma. Manafree told the AP, Associated Press, that the state's version of events is very alarming and very concerning, but at the same time, it's not how we understand what happened. So there's seems to be some questions with the official narrative, it would seem. He's seeking the truth at what happened, and we're looking at everything. This is terrible what happened. It's tragic. So they suspended the license of another firefighter, Scott Rickard, and they got a hearing next week, likely to be postponed. So they got lawyers involved and stuff like this for the guys, the paramedics and the emergency teams that were called to assist with this poor girl's condition. But anyway, Beecham remains in critical condition at a hospital. The families internally said her brain stem is functioning. This appears to be one of the worst cases of gross negligence that I've ever encountered. She wasn't dying or near death. Had they got her to a hospital, none of this would have happened. So as I said, guys, a little bit of a medical FUBAR, it would seem, was the result of this, and not in some kind of supernatural or medical purposes or reason, or maybe some drug infused state of rage or comatose. But anyway, what is all this got to do with anything, or why are we seeing so many reports in recent times that people are coming back from the dead, and is this problematic? So we'll wrap it up and do a little summary in the studio before we end this episode, and maybe elaborate a little bit more on what we think is going on with all these dead people supposedly coming back to life. Alrighty, guys. So there we go. Have a look at some various articles about very similar instances of people coming back to life. In particular, there were two in the same region. That kind of, is there a pattern? Is there something going on out there? Is I forget the name of the place now, Camper Pakadesh or whatever it was called. Is that going to be the new Wuhan? Is that where we're going to see a new outbreak of viruses where the dead are going to be returning to from the life? Are they going to try and claim that this is now a new development and COVID-19 is mutated into COVID-38, twice as bad, twice as deadly? You can't even, when you die from it, you come back from the dead only to die from it twice. Do you know what I'm saying? The world's gone ridiculous. 2020 just will not quit, with the supernatural, with the strange, with the weird, with the bizarre, and dare I say wonderful, though not so much of the wonderful. We've got to agree, 2020 has been a clusterfuck for a hell of a lot of people, apart from those select few of elites in part of those banker, Kabul, industrial, militarized industrial complex types that are pulling the strings, controlling politicians and governments around the world to accept the new normal, which is a little bit more than introducing us towards the one world order. So is there anything really genuinely seriously to worry about these people rising from the dead? Are they indeed actual stories? We can't rule out the fact that maybe it is fake news, maybe it's just a little bit of clickbait, maybe it's a little bit of misdirection within, you know, what is with the regular mainstream news narratives of these days, all about doom and gloom and COVID and flooding in the curve and spikes, wave 2, new normal, all this shit. Is this just a little bit distraction, or are they kind of plopping these little tidbits in and there, hoping that we won't notice that there is a zombie apocalypse about to outbreak on the globe and around the world? People are rising from the dead more and more and more. I don't know, guys. As I said, just found a little bit of an interest in that there was a pattern in there was a lot of these similar articles of people who had been declared or pronounced dead that then later rose from the dead, be it in the grave, the morgue, or at the funeral home, or in the individual's case who just had a argument with his wife and went to work in a factory for a couple of days. But are they putting out some subliminal messages? Is there some programmatic purpose behind this? Are they implanting some kind of subliminal seeding so that maybe we might accept a fake zombie outbreak should they choose to go down that road? And was there a reason that for the most part of the 21st century there has not been a sort of period of time when there hasn't been some kind of zombie related genre, either on the TV, the movie, book form? You know, the book How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse come out in, I think, 2003, 2004. 2008 we saw The Walking Dead become a mainstream zombie production, and after that, you know, the floodgates opened, zombies saturated the market. So there is some kind of, you know, decoding within fiction. There is some purpose to fiction. Fiction prepares us for our reality. The end of days, apocalyptic, not just zombie apocalypse, but there's been quite a lot of end of days and apocalyptic TV and movies over the last year. Are they getting us ready? Are they drumming in that the end of days are coming? And are we about to see a zombie apocalypse before 2020 ends? I don't know, guys. Just like to bring you some information and thoughts and opinions that I've got. If or not you share those thoughts and opinions, that's entirely up to you. But if you do share or have anything that you'd like to add and maybe think about this strange events of people rising from the dead, comments below, guys. That's where to do them. And I do hope you managed to hear this okay. As I said, I'm trying to use my microphone. I don't know if or not it's better, closer, or without them. Hopefully I will find out after this is uploaded. Until then, guys, we will hopefully catch you in another episode. This is TSP TV, brought to you by Shit Video Productions. I'm the Thrift Store Prepper. Until the next video, keep it thrifty, and remember, please be excellent to each other. And as I said, take care, guys. See you in the next